Und ich bin optimistisch, dass uns das auch im Jahr 2025 gemeinsam wieder gelingen wird. Die Prognosen dazu sehen sehr gut aus. Wir werden unseren Beitrag leisten, dass eins der Direktmandate aus dem Leipziger Süden kommt.
The warning is clear. Sören Pellmann versus Friedrich Merz. The deputy parliamentary leader of the left has spoken, and his message is unmistakable. Merz is driving Germany into a war with Russia. What Pellmann is saying now is not party politics, it is a warning of catastrophe. Merz wants to station NATO troops in Ukraine. In doing so, he is risking a direct conflict with Russia. And Pellmann says, this is not the right path. This confrontation shows what is at stake, peace or world war. Diplomacy or escalation. Germany must wake up before it is too late. Let's take a look at what Sören Pellmann told Euronews. His analysis is razor sharp. He says, a security agreement based exclusively on NATO troops carries a real risk of escalation, as they could become involved in a direct conflict with Russia in a crisis. That is the core issue. Merz wants to station NATO soldiers in or near Ukraine. He calls it peacekeeping. But Pellmann sees through it. He knows NATO soldiers are combatants. They are military targets. And if they face Russian troops, there is war. Not someday. Immediately. Pellmann states clearly, this is not the right path. Instead, he calls for genuine UN peacekeeping forces, troops accepted by both Ukraine and Russia. Troops from neutral countries and BRICS states. Only that, Pellmann says, would provide a credible peace guarantee for the Ukrainian population. This is the fundamental difference between Merz and Pellmann. Merz thinks in NATO terms, in alliances, military blocs, Konfrontation. Pellmann thinks in terms of real peace, neutrality, diplomacy, solutions that all sides can accept. This is the difference between warmongering and peace policy. But Merz does not listen. He continues with his plans. In Paris, on January 6, he negotiated with Macron, CNS-YY, and others. Agreements were reached. They are planning Ukraine's future. And Germany is meant to be part of it with soldiers, with weapons, with everything. Merz signed. He committed. He bound Germany. Pellmann also criticizes the vagueness of European governments. He told Euronews, European governments are remarkably vague about their security commitments to Ukraine. What does that mean? It means no one knows exactly what is supposed to happen. No one has a clear plan. No one knows the mandate. But everyone goes along anyway. Pellmann asks the crucial question, it is unclear what mandate the protection force Germany wants to join would actually have. That is the central issue. What are the soldiers supposed to do? Whom are they meant to protect? Against whom would they fight? When are they allowed to fire? When must they fire? All of this is unresolved. And yet Merz still wants to send German soldiers. That is irresponsible. That is dangerous. That is madness. German soldiers could find themselves in situations where they do not know what to do, caught between fronts, suddenly facing Russian soldiers, potentially dying. And why? Because Merz failed to negotiate a clear mandate. Russia has already made its position unmistakably clear. Western troops in Ukraine are legitimate targets. Moscow categorically rejects any Western troop presence. This is not an empty threat. It is a warning. It means that if German soldiers go to Ukraine, Russia will treat them as enemies. They will be attacked. They will be fired upon. They will be killed. This is not theory. This is reality. Pellmann warns precisely about this scenario. He says NATO troops could become involved in a direct conflict with Russia in a crisis. And then what? Then there is no turning back. Then Germany is at war with a nuclear power. Then Europe stands on the brink. Then a conflict begins that could destroy everything built over generations, everything people fought for. But Merz is not concerned. He wants a role on the world stage. He wants to show that Germany is a major player. He wants to project strength. He wants to go down in history as a statesman. But what he shows instead is irresponsibility, megalomania, and a willingness to sacrifice German soldiers for his ego. Pellmann's alternative is clear and well thought out: UN peacekeeping forces. Why UN forces? Because they are neutral. Because they are accepted by both sides. Because they are not part of a military alliance. Because they have a clear mandate. UN peacekeepers protect, monitor, mediate, and separate conflict parties, but they do not fight. They are not a party to the war. Pellmann says any UN peace mission should largely consist of troops from neutral countries and BRIC states. That is intelligent. That is realistic. That is a genuine solution. Countries like India, Brazil, and South Africa have no stake in the Ukraine conflict. They are not part of NATO. They are not enemies of Russia. They are credible mediators who can build peace because both sides can trust them. But so far, no BRICS country has offered to send troops. Why not? Because they see that the West wants to dominate the conflict. That NATO wants to retain control. That this is not really about peace, but about power, influence, and the continuation of confrontation by other means. On this issue, the left clearly stands on the side of peace. Together with the AfD, they are the only parties in the Bundestag clearly opposing troop deployments. Al-Otas with CDU, SPD, Greens, and FDP support this course. They all follow the NATO line. They are all willing to put German soldiers in danger. Pellmann also warns of domestic consequences. German soldiers in Ukraine would deeply divide the country. People do not want war. Polls show it clearly. A majority of Germans oppose weapons deliveries. A majority oppose escalation. A majority want negotiations. But the government ignores the will of the people. It simply pushes ahead, driving Germany into a conflict nobody wants. The Bundeswehr is already deployed worldwide: Kosovo, Lebanon, Mali, South Sudan, Western Sahara. German soldiers serve in UN, EU, and NATO missions. They protect trade routes, enforce arms embargoes, and help with reconstruction. These are meaningful missions. These are peace operations. But Ukraine is different. Ukraine is an active battlefield between major powers. Ukraine means potential confrontation with Russia. Ukraine means the risk of nuclear escalation. Ukraine could mean the end of Europe as we know it. This is not peacekeeping. This is combat deployment. Pellmann demands: stop this madness. Talk to Russia. Find a diplomatic solution. Deploy UN troops from neutral countries instead of NATO troops. Give peace a real chance. Give diplomacy time. Give the people of Ukraine a future without war. But Merz presses on. He signed agreements in Paris. He made commitments. He locked Germany into a course that could lead to catastrophe. And now he wants to confront the Bundestag with a fait accompli. He wants to say, we have committed. We must deliver. Germany must keep its word. The coming weeks will be decisive. Merz will try to convince Parliament. He will apply pressure. He will argue alliance loyalty, international responsibility, European security. He will pull every lever to push his plans through. But opposition is growing. Not only the left and the AfD are against it, resistance is also growing within the SPD. There are critical voices among the Greens as well. And public protest is increasing. People are waking up. They see where Merz wants to take Germany, and they are saying no. Sören Pellmann is right with his warning. Merz is driving Germany into a war with Russia, a war nobody can win, a war that would destroy Europe, a war that could cost millions of lives. This is not exaggeration. It is a sober assessment of the situation. For German voters, the message is clear: you have a choice. You can let Merz continue on his path toward war, or you can say no. You can vote for parties that want peace. You can take to the streets. You can raise your voice. The decision lies with you. What do you think? Is Pellmann right in his warning? Is Merz really risking a war with Russia? Are UN troops the better solution? Write it in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any important developments. See you in the next video.